All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Have you ever made a promise you immediately regretted? Like, really regretted? Well, picture this. A terrified Snake King is literally plummeting from the sky directly into a roaring sacrificial fire. He's been completely abandoned by a thunder god, and the whole thing is happening just because of a powerfully chanted spell. It is a moment of pure cinematic tension straight out of ancient mythology. But how do we get to this explosive standoff? Today, we're going to explore the mechanics of ancient magic, the heavy weight of unbreakable promises, and exactly what happens when human vengeance clashes with divine power.
Chapter 1: The Boy and the Boon.
So, to really wrap our heads around this cosmic standoff, we need to look at the two radically different characters right at the center of it all. On one side, you've got King Janamejaya. He's the guy orchestrating this massive, terrifying event. He's completely fueled by vengeance, just aggressively demanding this destructive snake sacrifice to wipe out his enemies. On the flip side is Astika. He's a Brahmana boy with handsome, childlike features, but, when he speaks, the king actually remarks that he sounds like a wise old man. Astika is surprisingly calm, and he is there specifically to halt all this bloodshed and bring peace. The king is actually so blown away by Astika's unexpected wisdom that he makes a monumental decision. He offers the kid a boon. Now, in this universe, a boon is not just a simple favor. It is a sacred, absolutely unbreakable promise. Think of it like a magical blank check. King Janamejaya literally tells Astika, "I promise thee that I will grant it even if it be ungrantable." This is the central, ironclad ethical rule of this entire mythological world. Once those words leave a king's mouth, there's no taking them back.
Moving on to Chapter 2: Hiding with the Gods.
But before Astika can even state his wish, the king's priests interject. It turns out the main target of the king's revenge, Takshaka, the prince of snakes, is actually a no-show. Why? Because he's literally hiding inside the upper garments of the mighty thunder god, Indra. Yeah, a powerful cosmic deity is quite literally hiding a snake in his robes. Indra grants him absolute cosmic asylum, promising, "Dwell with me in concealment, and Agni shall not burn thee."
Which brings us to Chapter 3: Dragged from the Sky.
Now, when King Janamejaya finds out that a major god is actively harboring his sworn enemy, he doesn't back down. No, he doubles down. Just look at the sheer, terrifying depth of his rage here. He literally orders his mantra-newing priests to drag a major deity down into the sacrificial flames just to get his revenge. The king is so blinded by his anger that he is totally willing to burn the thunder god himself if it means destroying Takshaka. What happens next is this incredible clash between divine status and the sheer, raw force of earthly magic. The king commands his priests to unleash their ritual, and it becomes this highly mechanical, totally unstoppable progression. First, libations of clarified butter are poured into the fire. Next, the specific target's name is chanted aloud in the mantras. The result? The magic forces both the hidden snake and the god to instantly, physically materialize right in the sky above the blazing fire. And Indra? He does not show up quietly. He makes this spectacularly grand, incredibly defensive entrance. The text describes him pulling up in a celestial car, adorned by surrounding gods, followed by massive storm clouds, and even accompanied by bevies of celestial dancing girls and singers. It's a massive flex of divine force and status, all while he's still hiding Takshaka in his garment. But as we're about to see, all the celestial backup in the world cannot stop the chanted words of earthly priests. Okay, here's where it hits the boiling point. Suspended up there in the sky, Indra looks down at the sacrifice, and seeing the absolute terrifying power of this fire ritual, the god of thunder completely panics. He realizes he cannot fight this magic. So, in a moment of sheer alarm, Indra quickly casts the Snake King off and flees straight back to his own heavenly abode, leaving his sworn protectee completely defenseless. Deprived of his devouring bodyguard, Takshaka is a sitting duck, totally exposed to the ritual's power. The text explicitly notes that his body is disabled by your mantras. Just think about that power for a second. The Prince of Snakes is rendered completely paralyzed. He becomes insensible with fear, just physically crushed by the invisible weight of the priest's chanted words. And then, gravity and magic take over. The ticking clock hits 0. The priests announce to the king that Takshaka is rolling in the skies, totally deprived of consciousness. Roaring and breathing loudly, the disabled snake begins his unavoidable, terrifying plummet from heaven, heading directly toward the raging, all-consuming flames of the sacrifice.
Chapter 4: The unbreakable promise.
With his ultimate revenge literally seconds away from hitting the flames, the king turns his attention back to the boy, Astika, to finally grant that promised boon. And bam! This is where Astika plays his masterstroke. Right as the snake is falling through the air, he makes his demand. And it's the absolute last thing the king wants to hear. Let this sacrifice of thine come to an end, and let no more snakes fall into the fire. Astika demands absolute mercy and an immediate total end to the destruction. The king is absolutely devastated. He desperately tries to buy the boy off. He offers endless gold. Astika says, nope, stop the sacrifice. He offers endless cattle. Astika says, save the snakes. He offers literally any other worldly possession a human heart could possibly desire. The king is practically begging him to ask for some other boon. But Astika remains utterly immovable. He makes it clear he doesn't want wealth. He only wants the sacrifice ended, so his maternal relations, the snakes, can be spared. Here is the crucial takeaway. The magical and ethical laws of this universe are absolute. The king hesitates, sure, but he cannot break a promised boon. Eventually, all the Sadasyas, the learned scholars and priests conversant with the Vedas, tell the king in one unified, undeniable voice, let the Brahmana receive his boon. He has no choice. He absolutely must honor his word, even if it means sparing his greatest enemy at the very last possible second. And that wraps up our explainer. We're left at the end of this ancient, action-packed standoff with a seriously profound dilemma. We just watched a king summon enough magical force to literally drag a god out of the sky, yet he was ultimately bound and defeated by his own spoken promise to a child. It really leaves us to wonder, when the ultimate revenge clashes with a sacred promise, what matters more? What's the true cost of keeping your word, especially when it demands sacrificing your deepest, most burning desires? Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next explainer.